Chapter 7. Pavement marking, traffic signs, and signals. Pavement markings on the road. Lines and symbols on the roadway indicate a number of things to drivers. Where lanes are divided, where you may pass other vehicles or change lanes, which lanes to use for turns, where pedestrian walkways are located, and where you must stop for signs and traffic signals. Meanings of pavement markings. Lines. Broken lines may be crossed in a passing maneuver. Solid lines should not be crossed in a passing maneuver. Colors. Yellow separates traffic traveling in opposite directions. White separates traffic traveling in the same direction. Direction of traffic. If the line on the left of you is yellow, the traffic on the other side of the line is moving in the opposite direction. When the line on the left of you is white, the traffic is moving in the same direction. A solid white line marks the right edge of many roads. The center markings for roads with 4 lanes consists of 2 solid yellow lines. The yellow lines tell you the traffic on the other side is the line moving in the opposite direction. You should never cross the 2 solid yellow lines to pass. No passing zones. 2-lane roads may have no passing zones marked with a solid yellow line. No passing zones are on hills or curves where you cannot see far enough ahead to pass safely. You must complete passing before you enter the no passing zone. When you see a solid yellow line on your side of the center line, do not try to pass. On any 2-lane road, never pass if you cannot see the road is clear for the distance you need to make a pass, even if there is no marking on the roadway. Left turn lanes. Some roads have marked left turn lanes. Notice the solid yellow lines and the thick yellow stripes in the illustration shown here. Crosswalks and stop lines. When required to stop because of a sign or a signal, you must stop before your vehicle reaches the stop line, or if there is one, the crosswalk. Crosswalks define the area where pedestrians are to cross the roadway. You must yield to pedestrians in or about to enter a crosswalk. Not all crosswalks are marked. Be careful for pedestrians when crossing intersections that do not have defined crosswalks. Dual-use lanes. Dual-use lanes have both a turn arrow and a straight arrow. When both arrows appear on the electric traffic signal, you may either turn or go straight. But if you want to turn and only the straight arrow is showing, you must wait for the turn arrow. Shared center lanes. Vehicles moving in both directions may use these center lanes for making left turns or U-turns when they are permitted. On the pavement, left turn arrows for traffic in one direction alternate with left turn arrows for traffic coming from the other direction. These lanes are marked on each side by a solid yellow and dashed yellow lines. Turn from this lane as soon as your path is clear. No lane markings. When there are no signs or markings to control the use of lanes, there are rules that indicate which lane is to be used. These rules cover general driving, passing, and turning. General driving. In general, never back a vehicle in any travel lane. Drivers do not expect a vehicle to be backing towards them and may not realize it until it is too late. If you miss your turn or exit, do not back up. Go on to where you can safely turn around. Do not stop in travel lanes for any reason, confusion, breakdown, or letting out a passenger. Keep moving until you can safely pull off the road. On a road with 3 or more lanes traveling in the same direction, stay in the right lane except to pass. If there is a considerable amount of traffic entering the right travel lane, then use the center travel lane. Passing. On multi-lane roads, The leftmost lane is intended to be used to pass slower vehicles. If you pass on the right, the other driver may have difficulty seeing you and might suddenly change lanes in front of you. Never pass on the shoulder. Other drivers will not expect you to be there and may pull off the road without looking. Traffic officers. You must obey traffic officers at all times. If you see a traffic officer giving directions, do what he or she says and ignore any traffic signs or signals. For example, if the officer signals for you to stop at a green light, you must stop. Traffic control signals. Traffic controls include traffic signals, traffic signs, and pavement markings. Traffic control can also be provided by law enforcement, highway personnel, or school crossing guards. You must obey directions from these persons. Traffic signals. Traffic signals are lights that tell you when or where to stop and go. Flashing traffic signals may occur during emergencies, nighttime, and low traffic volume periods and special events. Flashing traffic signals have the following meanings. A flashing red light means the same thing as a stop sign. A flashing yellow light tells you to slow down and proceed with caution. A red light tells you to stop at the stop line, crosswalk, or before the intersection. Unless you are making a right turn, you must wait for the signal to turn green before you proceed. After making a complete stop, you may turn right on a red light if the way is clear of pedestrians and traffic. However, you must not turn right on a red light when there is a "No right turn on red" sign posted. A steady yellow light tells you the traffic signal is changing from green to red. Stop for a steady yellow light unless you are within the intersection or are so close that you cannot safely stop before entering the intersection. A green light tells you that you can go through the intersection. However, you must first yield the right-of-way to traffic and pedestrians who are still in the intersection. Left turn signals. When turning left at a green light, there are 3 types of left turn signal phases. The first is permissive. Vehicles are given a circular green or a flashing yellow arrow and required to wait for an adequate gap in the opposing traffic prior to making their turn. Second is protected. Vehicles may turn only when they receive a green arrow while opposing vehicles are stopped by a red light. And third is protected permissive. Vehicles are given a protective phase, a green arrow, or a permissive phase, circular green or flashing yellow arrow, when drivers must choose an adequate gap in opposing traffic. A steady red arrow tells you to stop at the stop line, crosswalk, or before the intersection. You must wait for the signal to turn green or a flashing yellow arrow before you proceed. However, you may need to yield to pedestrians. A steady yellow arrow appears after a green arrow. It tells you the green arrow will be changing to a circular green light, a flashing yellow arrow, or a red light. You must be ready to yield the right-of-way to oncoming traffic or to stop. A flashing yellow arrow tells you that you are allowed to drive in the direction the arrow is pointing, but are required to wait for an adequate gap in the opposing traffic prior to making your turn. You must yield to pedestrians. A green arrow tells you that you can drive in the direction the arrow is pointing. You must be in the proper lane, and the way must be clear of all traffic and pedestrians. Dark signals, or traffic signals that aren't working, operate as a 4-way stop. Traffic signs. Traffic signs tell you traffic rules, hazards, where you are, how to get where you are going, and where services are located. The shape and color of these signs give clues to the type of information they provide. Sign colors. Red means stop, yield, or prohibited. Black means regulatory. White means regulatory. Yellow means warning. Yellow-green means school. Orange means construction. Green means direction and distance. Blue means motorist services. Brown means public recreation and cultural interests. Sign shapes. The octagon means stop. The triangle means yield. A vertical rectangle means regulatory. A horizontal rectangle means guide, parks, and recreation. The pentagon means school. Round means railroad. Crossbuck means railroad. The pennant means no passing zone. The diamond means warning. Warning signs. These signs are yellow with black lettering or symbols and usually diamond-shaped. These signs warn you to slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary because a special situation or a hazard is ahead. Some common warning signs are shown here. Traffic control. The stop ahead sign. There is a stop sign ahead on the road you are on. Be prepared to stop. On the sign is a straight arrow, placed atop a red octagon. Pedestrian crossing. This means yield to pedestrians walking in the crosswalk and slow down. Here, there is a silhouette of a human figure. Below the diamond-shaped sign is a horizontal rectangle with an arrow sloping down and to the left. Signal ahead. There is a traffic light signal ahead on the road you are on. Be prepared to stop. On the sign is the picture of a traffic light. Next is school crossing. This means slow down. Watch for children crossing the road. Note that this sign is being transitioned to yellow-green. This transition will take effect within the next 10 years. Here we see the silhouette of an adult and a child. Below the pentagon is a horizontal rectangle with an arrow sloping down and to the left. Next is traffic flow. The exit speed advisory sign. It is a vertical rectangle. The highway exit ramp has a speed advisory. Here, the word exit is atop the advisory speed, 30 miles per hour in this example. Next is special road and traffic. The following 5 signs are diamond-shaped. Begin divided roadway. The road will soon become two-way traffic, divided by a median or a barrier. Here, 2 wavy arrows, each pointing in the opposite direction, are divided by a wedge placed at the top of the sign. Next is merge. Traffic from another road will be entering the road. Be prepared for vehicles to move into your lane. Here, a straight arrow is being merged with a curving arrow. Next is added lane. Traffic from another road will be entering the road. No merging is necessary because a lane has been added. Here the sign is bisected by a line. On the left side is a straight arrow. On the right side is a curving arrow. Next is the end divided roadway sign. This means two-way traffic will no longer be divided by a median or barrier. Here, 2 wavy lines, each pointing in the opposite direction, are divided by a wedge placed at the bottom of the sign. Next is lane ends, merge left. This means 2 lanes of traffic will soon become 1 lane of traffic. If you are in the right lane, you must merge left, yielding to traffic driving in the left lane. Next is turns and curves in the road. The curb sign. A curve sign is used to warn of a curve where the recommended speed is less than the posted speed limit for the highway. Here, an arrow is curving to the right. Next is reverse turn. A reverse turn sign is used to warn of two turns in opposite directions. The second turn may be sharper than the first. Recommended maximum speed is 30 miles per hour or less. Here, an arrow makes a series of two 90-degree turns. Next is the turn sign. A turn sign is used to warn of a sharp turn or a turn where the recommended maximum speed is 30 miles per hour or less. Here the arrow is bent 90 degrees to the right. Next is a speed advisory sign. The sign is square with a numerical speed indication. The curve and turn signs have an advisory speed plate that shows the recommended speed for the curve or turn. Although you may feel comfortable driving at a higher speed in fair weather, you should never do so in rain, snow, or icy conditions. Next is large arrow. This is a horizontal rectangle. Here, the arrow points to the right. This may be seen on the outside of a turn. Slow down for sharp change of direction of travel. Next is a chevron. This may be used at curves and turns to add extra emphasis to slow down. Here the chevron is pointing to the left. Next is special road and traffic conditions. Object marker. These are used to notify drivers of objects in the roadway or very close to the edge of the roadway. This sign emphasizes the need to not stray outside of the marked traffic lane. This sign is an elongated vertical rectangle. It shows a series of alternating black and yellow diagonal lines. Next is slow-moving vehicle. A reflective orange triangle on the rear of a vehicle means it is traveling less than 25 miles per hour. You may see this sign on construction equipment or farm vehicles. Next is soft shoulder. The shoulder on the side of the road ahead is soft. Do not drive off the pavement. This sign is a diamond shape. Next is bicycle, share the road. This sign means watch for bicycle riders traveling in the same lane as vehicular traffic. This consists of a pair of signs. The sign on top is a diamond shape with the silhouette of a bicycle. Below this is a vertical rectangle reading share the road. Next is slippery when wet. This means the road ahead becomes unusually slippery in wet weather. Drive carefully in these conditions. The sign is diamond shaped. It shows the silhouette of a car trailing a pair of wavy lines. Next, road intersections. Side road, railroad crossing sign. A warning of a railroad crossing very close to the intersection. Use caution when crossing the tracks. This sign is diamond shaped. It shows a roadway being intersected by railroad tracks. Next is side road ahead. This means another road enters the road from the direction shown on the sign. This shows a horizontal line meeting a vertical line from the right. Next is intersection. This means another road crosses the road. Watch carefully for traffic crossing your path. This diamond-shaped sign portrays a plus mark. Next is the T intersection ahead. This means the road you are traveling does not continue. You must turn either left or right. This is a diamond-shaped sign with intersecting roads forming the letter T. Next is the roundabout ahead sign. This means a roundabout intersection is ahead. Slow down as required by the speed restriction sign and follow the road rules for roundabouts. This is a diamond-shaped sign with a horizontal rectangle below it that reads roundabout. On the diamond-shaped sign is a series of 3 curving arrows. Next is regulatory signs. Many regulatory signs are square or rectangular shape and are white with black or red letters or symbols. They give you information about rules for traffic direction, for lane use, turning, speed, parking, and other special situations. Some regulatory signs have a red circle with a red slash over a symbol. These indicate you cannot do something. For example, no left turn or no U-turn. Other common types of regulatory signs are no left turn. Here the red slash is over an arrow bending 90 degrees to the left. No right turn. Here the red slash is over an arrow bending 90 degrees to the right. No U-turn. Here the red slash is over an arrow curving up and over 180 degrees. No trucks. Here the red slash is over the silhouette of a large truck. No bicycles. Here the red slash is over the silhouette of a bicycle. Stop signs. A stop sign is red with white letters and has 8 sides. When you see a stop sign, you must come to a full stop. You must wait until crossing vehicles and pedestrians have cleared the intersection. You must stop at the stop line if one is present, even if it is located past the stop sign. If there is no stop line, pull up and stop near the edge of the intersection, look both ways, and then proceed when it is safe. A yield sign is triangular. It is red and white with red letters. It means you must slow down and yield the right of way to traffic in the intersection you are crossing or the roadway you are entering. The wrong way sign means you made a wrong turn and have entered a lane of oncoming traffic. As quickly and safely as possible, pull off the road, turn around, and go back. The do not enter sign. When you see this sign at roadway openings, do not enter this road. A one-way sign. Traffic on some roadways and ramps is allowed in one direction only. This sign is a horizontal rectangle. It shows a white arrow on a black background pointing to the left with the words one way written in the arrow. Next is lane control signs. These signs use an arrow symbol to tell you which direction you can go from each lane. The signs are along the road or hanging over the road. Speed limit. Speed limit signs indicate the maximum speed allowed by law and do not mean that all parts of the road can be safely driven at these speeds under all conditions. The speed limit is the maximum allowable speed in ideal conditions. Adjust your speed for hills, curves, slippery roadways, limited sight distance, pedestrians, bicyclists, and slow-moving vehicles. These conditions make the posted speed limit unsafe. By law, when conditions demand it, you must slow down. Interstate highways also have minimum speed limits. If this minimum speed is too fast for you, then you should use another route. You may not drive slower than 40 miles per hour on interstate highways under normal roadway conditions. The Keep Right sign. Some roadway locations require traffic to pass only to the right side of a feature or obstruction. Use the following guide unless posted speed limits direct otherwise. For rural, interstates, and freeways, the maximum speed is 70. For rural expressways, the maximum speed is 65. For interstate highways, freeways, or expressways within urbanized areas, the maximum speed is 60. For all other roads and highways not located in an urbanized area, the maximum speed is 60. For lettered roads, the maximum speed is 55. The speed limit in any city, town, or village is 25 miles per hour, unless posted otherwise. The Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission has the authority to set speed limits higher or lower than the uniform maximum speed limits for safety reasons, or to expedite the flow of traffic. There are 13 interstates in Missouri. The speed limit is posted 60 miles per hour when these interstates are near or within the following 5 Missouri cities: St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, St. Joseph, and Springfield. Railroad crossing. Many railroad crossings have signs or signals to warn drivers. The Railroad Advance Warning sign tells you that you are nearing a railroad crossing. Never try to beat a train across the tracks. Never start to cross the tracks until there is room for your vehicle on the other side of the tracks. It is not wise to shift gears when crossing railroad tracks, just in case your vehicle might stall. You may also see a pavement marking before a crossing. Like the round advance warning sign, pavement markings tell you that you are nearing a railroad crossing. A white X-shaped sign, or crossbuck, is located at the railroad crossing. This sign has the same meaning as a yield sign. Therefore, you must yield to trains at crossings. The sign under the crossbuck tells you how many tracks cross the road. At some crossings, along with the crossbuck sign, you will see side-by-side red lights that flash alternately. At some crossings, there is a crossing gate, some with a bell that will lower when a train is coming. At both of these signal-equipped crossings, you must stop, and you cannot cross the tracks until the train has passed. When you see any of these signs, slow down, look for a train, and be ready to stop. You must stop if the red lights are flashing or the gate is down. You must stop within 15 to 50 feet before the railroad tracks. Do not try to go around the gate. The red lights may continue to flash after the train has gone by. If there are 2 or more tracks, look for a second train before you cross. Work zone signs. Work zone signs are fluorescent orange and indicate some type of work is being performed on or alongside the roadway. Be extremely careful when you see these signs. There may be other traffic control devices or flag persons to help direct you safely through the work zone. If you are caught speeding or passing in a construction zone or a work zone on Missouri state roadways, you could be fined a minimum of $250 for the first offense and a minimum of $300 for a second or subsequent offense, in addition to any other fine authorized by law, according to Section 304.582 RSMO. The following are the most common work zone signs. A diamond-shaped sign with black lettering on a fluorescent orange background. One sign reads, "Road work ahead." A second sign, above a horizontal line, the words "fresh oil." Below the horizontal line, "loose gravel." A third sign reads, "Right lane, closed ahead." A diamond-shaped sign with black lettering and black symbols on an orange background. The first sign reads, "Merge," above a left-pointing arrow. A second sign shows an up-pointing arrow above a white sign reading "Speed limit." The third sign shows the figure of a person holding a flag to the left. The fourth sign is rectangular. It is black lettering on an orange background. It reads, "Slow vehicles." Types of work zones. There are several types of work zones that take place on Missouri roadways. Knowing the difference between these work zones will help you understand what to expect when driving through them. When driving through work zones, adhere to these precautions. Stay alert. Look for reduced speed limits, narrow driving lanes, and highway workers. Pay attention. Do not drive distracted. Obey the work zone signs. Watch for vehicles entering and exiting the work zone. The following are the most common types of work zones a driver on Missouri roadways could encounter. A shoulder work zone. This is work that takes place on the shoulder or beyond the shoulder. You should use caution and perform or be alert of the following. Reduce speed when approaching the work zone. The typical shoulder work setup shows the work area and the service truck on the shoulder of the road. Between the roadway and the work zone, you will encounter the following signs. They are diamond-shaped with black lettering on orange background. They read, shoulder work ahead, and road work ahead. Lane closure. This is work that takes place in the travel lane of a roadway. You should use caution and perform or be alert of the following. Merge to the designated lane or a lane that work is not being performed. Reduce speed to the designated work zone speed limit. The typical lane closure setup includes the work zone and the service truck occupying a single lane of the roadway. Work zone signs occupy the lane the work zone is occupying. They are also placed between the designated lane of travel and the work zone lane. Work zone signs you will encounter include the following. These are diamond-shaped, with black lettering on an orange background. One reads Merge, written above a left-pointing arrow. Right lane closed ahead. Road work ahead, and right lane closed. Flagging operation. This work takes place on a two-lane, two-way roadway, with one lane closed. A flag or flaggers will be present at the beginning and end points of the work zone, providing traffic control to oncoming vehicles. You should use caution and perform or be alert to the following. Be prepared to stop as you approach the work zone. Follow the flagger's instructions. In the typical flagging station setup, you will encounter the following signs. Diamond-shaped with black letters on an orange background. A sign showing the figure of a person holding a flag horizontal and to the left, and one reading one lane road ahead, may be placed from 500 feet up to 1 mile from the work zone. 500 feet from the work zone, you will encounter a sign that reads Road work ahead. Mobile work zone. This is work that takes place in the travel lane of a roadway. Workers may exit their vehicles briefly to conduct work. You should use caution and perform or be alert of the following. Multiple slow-moving or stopped work vehicles. Follow the directional guide of the flashing arrow panel. Workers that may be on or near the roadway. When approaching the mobile work zone, a driver should expect to see a protective vehicle in the lane with a flashing arrow panel designating the correct lane to merge to. It will also be marked with a sign, usually stating slow vehicles. The authorized safety inspection station sign. This is a square sign with black lettering over a yellow background. Guide signs. These signs are square or rectangular and are green or brown with white lettering. They show direction and distance to various locations, such as cities, airports, and state lines, or to special areas such as national parks, historical areas, and museums. Service signs. These signs are square or rectangular and are blue with white letters or symbols. They show the location of various services, such as rest areas and hospitals. Route signs. The shape of route signs indicates the type of roadway, interstate, United States, state, or county. When planning a trip, use a highway map to determine your route. During the trip, follow the route signs. This will help you so you will not get lost. North-south routes are identified by odd numbers. East-west roads are identified by even numbers. Interstate highways that loop around cities are identified by 3-digit even numbers. Roadways that direct traffic into a city's road system, called spurs, are identified by 3-digit odd numbers. Understanding exit numbers is easy when you know interstate traveling west-east are numbered starting from the west and going east. This means exit numbers start at 0 and increase as you drive east. Likewise, if you come from the east, the numbers will decrease to the west. Interstates that travel north-south have their exits numbered beginning at the south point and increasing north. If you enter the state from the north and drive south, then the exit numbers decrease. Emergency reference markers. Emergency reference markers are mile markers placed along the outside shoulder to mark the edge of the roadway and convey information to drivers about their location on the interstate for navigation and emergency situations. The reference markers are located every 2/10 of a mile, so motorists will be in the sight of a sign. They tell the direction of travel and route number. This concludes Chapter 7.